She said she was at her mom's, but then her mom called me looking for her. I think my world is about to implode. Hey everyone, I'm new here, or at least new to posting. I've lurked on a few subreddits for a while now, and honestly, I never thought I'd be one to share my personal drama online, but I'm sitting here, my head spinning, and I don't know who else to turn to. My best mate, Tom, is great, but he's got his own stuff going on, and this feels too raw, too personal to just drop on him over a pint at the King's Head just yet. So, here's the deal. My girlfriend, Sarah, and I have been together for 3 years. 3 pretty amazing years, I thought. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue classic, I know. She was laughing, this incredible, uninhibited sound, and she had a smear of ketchup on her cheek she was totally unaware of. I found it adorable. We clicked instantly. We talked for hours that day, about everything and nothing, our dreams, our stupid fears, our favorite bands, which toppings are unacceptable on a pizza, pineapple, for her, which I still playfully hold against her. We moved in together about 18 months ago, a little 2-bed terraced house on the outskirts of Manchester. It's not perfect, the boiler's a bit temperamental, and the neighbors are obsessed with lawn gnomes, but it's ours. We painted the living room a ridiculous shade of teal that we both loved at the time and now secretly regret. We've built a life, you know. Sunday roasts, binge-watching series on Netflix until 2 a.m., arguing over who has to take the bins out, planning holidays we haven't been able to afford yet. The usual couple stuff. I love her. I really, really do. Or at least, I thought I knew what that meant until about 3 hours ago. This morning, Sarah said she was going to spend the day with her mom, Carol. This isn't unusual. Carol lives about 40 minutes away in Bolton, and Sarah often pops over, sometimes for a few hours, sometimes for the whole day, especially if her dad's working and Carol's on her own. She said Carol wanted some help with her garden and they were going to have lunch. Sounded perfectly normal. She kissed me goodbye around 10 a.m., said she'd probably be back around dinner time, maybe a bit later. I was working from home today, I'm a graphic designer, so I just said, okay, love, have a good time. Say hi to Carol for me. The day was pretty standard. I had a couple of Zoom meetings, worked on a logo design for a new client, made myself a sandwich for lunch, listened to some podcasts. Around 4 p.m., I was just finishing up a tricky bit of vector work when my phone rang. Caller ID showed Carol. Hi Carol, you alright? I said, expecting maybe Sarah had left her phone at home and wanted me to tell her something, or maybe Carol wanted to ask what time Sarah was planning on leaving. Oh, hello Mark dear, Carol said. Her voice sounded a bit puzzled. I was just wondering, is Sarah with you? I was hoping to catch her. My stomach did a weird little flip. Sarah? No, she's with you, isn't she? She left this morning to come over to yours, help with the garden. There was a pause. A small one, but it felt like an eternity. Then Carol said, oh. No, dear. I haven't spoken to Sarah since Tuesday. I was actually calling her mobile, and it went straight to voicemail, so I thought I'd try you. Is everything alright? My brain just short-circuited. I think I mumbled something like, oh, right. Yeah, maybe I got my wires crossed. Must have. Sorry, Carol. I'll get her to call you when I see her. No problem, dear. Hope she's okay. Carol sounded genuinely oblivious, just a mom trying to reach her daughter. We said goodbye, and I hung up. I just sat there, staring at my monitor, the half-finished logo blurring in front of my eyes. My heart started hammering against my ribs like it wanted to escape. Sarah isn't with Carol. Carol hasn't spoken to her since Tuesday. So where is Sarah? And more importantly, why would she lie about something so specific, so easily verifiable? My first instinct was panic. Is she hurt? Did something happen to her? I grabbed my phone, my fingers fumbling, and called her. Straight to voicemail. Just like Carol said. "Hi, it's Sarah, leave a message and I'll get back to you." Her cheerful, breezy voicemail message that I've heard a million times. Today, it sounded alien. I tried again. Voicemail. And again. Voicemail. Okay, I told myself, trying to stay calm. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she did intend to go to Carol's, and something came up last minute, and she just hasn't had a chance to tell me or her mom. A car problem? A sudden emergency with a friend? But why wouldn't she call me? Or at least text? The "helping Carol with the garden" bit was so specific. It wasn't just, "I'm going to my mom's." It was a whole little scenario. People don't usually make up those kinds of details unless they're trying to make a lie more believable, right? I started pacing the living room, the teal walls suddenly feeling like they were closing in on me. My mind went into overdrive, replaying the morning. Did she seem weird? Rushed, nervous? Not really. She was just normal Sarah. Playful even. She'd stolen a bit of my toast, giggling when I pretended to be outraged. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, to indicate anything was amiss. But now, with Carol's call echoing in my ears, everything feels different. It's like a filter has been dropped over my reality, and everything is darker, more sinister. I know what you're thinking. The obvious conclusion. The one that makes my stomach churn and my chest ache. Is she seeing someone else? The thought is like a physical blow. Sarah? My Sarah? It seems impossible. We're good. We're solid. Aren't we? But then the doubts creep in, those insidious little whispers. Have we been a bit distant lately? Maybe. Life gets busy. Work stress, bills, the usual grind. We haven't had a proper date night in a few weeks. Sex has been a bit less frequent than it used to be, maybe. But I chalked that up to tiredness, to being comfortable. Not to this. I haven't confronted her yet. She's still not back, and it's nearly 7 p.m. Her phone still goes straight to voicemail. I don't even know what I'll say. If I accuse her, and there's a perfectly innocent explanation, though my brain is struggling to find one right now that fits all the facts, I'll look like a paranoid idiot, and I'll have damaged her trust in me. But if I don't say anything, and my gut feeling is right, then I'm just letting this happen. What if she just needed a day to herself and didn't know how to tell me? But why lie so elaborately? Why involve her mom in the lie, even indirectly? It doesn't make sense. I keep looking at the clock. Every tick feels like a hammer blow. I feel sick. I can't concentrate on anything. I tried to go back to work, but I just stared blankly at the screen. I tried to watch TV, but the sound was just noise. I found myself looking through our photos on my phone. Us in Cornwall last summer, squinting in the sun, covered in sand. Us at Tom's wedding, her laughing at my terrible dancing. Us on the sofa, tangled up, asleep, a photo her sister took at Christmas. In every single one, we look happy. We look real. Was it all a lie? Is she a lie? I don't know what to do. Do I wait for her to come home and see what she says? Do I call her mom back and ask more questions, even though that feels like dragging Carol into something potentially awful? Do I check her tablet? Her laptop? I've never felt the urge to snoop before. Our relationship has always been built on trust. Or so I believed. The thought of violating her privacy makes me feel scummy, but the thought of being played for a fool makes me feel even worse. This feeling, this cold, hard knot of dread in my stomach is unbearable. I feel like I'm on the edge of a cliff, and the ground is crumbling beneath my feet. Has anyone else been through this? What did you do? How do you even begin to approach this kind of conversation? What if I'm just catastrophizing? What if there's a simple, logical reason for all of this that I'm just too panicked to see. I need to know if I'm going crazy or if my instincts are right. Any advice would be hugely appreciated. I need to understand what's happening. Thanks for reading this wall of text. My head's a mess. Mark. Update 2. Hey everyone, it's Mark again. I posted a few weeks back, under the title, "She said she was at her mom's, but then her mom called me looking for her." Firstly, I want to say thank you. Seriously. The number of responses, the advice, the support from total strangers. It was overwhelming in the best possible way. I read every single comment, even the tough ones. It helped me feel less alone when I was feeling like my entire world was caving in. A lot of you told me to stay calm, to try and talk to her before jumping to conclusions, but also to trust my gut. And my gut was screaming. So, this is the update. It's not a happy one, I'm afraid. It's pretty much what many of you suspected. That night, Sarah eventually came home around 10:30 p.m. I was a wreck. I'd paced a marathon in our living room. I'd rehearsed 100 different opening lines, from angry accusations to gentle inquiries. When her key finally turned in the lock, my heart leaped into my throat. She walked in, looking a bit tired, but otherwise normal. She smiled when she saw me. "Hey. Sorry I'm so late." Mom was on a roll, we got chatting for ages, then traffic on the M60 was a nightmare. Just like that. Another lie, delivered so casually. My carefully rehearsed speeches vanished. I just looked at her. I think my face must have been pretty telling because her smile faltered. "What's wrong?" she asked, her brow furrowing. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Carol called me this afternoon, Sarah," I said. My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. I was too numb for anger, too shocked for tears, at that exact moment. Her face changed. It was subtle, a tiny flicker in her eyes, a slight tightening around her mouth, but I saw it. It was the look of someone caught. "Oh," she said, trying to sound nonchalant, but her voice was a fraction too high. "What did she want?" "She was looking for you," I continued, watching her. "She said she hadn't spoken to you since Tuesday. She said you weren't with her today. She said she was worried because your phone was going to voicemail." Sarah didn't say anything for a moment. She put her bag down on the floor, very slowly. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "There must be some mistake," she said finally, her voice barely a whisper. "She must have forgotten. She's been a bit forgetful lately." Her own mother. She was going to throw her own mother under the bus to cover her tracks. That, more than anything, was like a punch to the gut. "Don't, Sarah," I said, and this time, my voice shook a little. "Don't lie to me anymore. Where were you today?" She tried. Oh, she tried. She came up with a convoluted story about initially planning to go to her mom's, then a friend, Chloe, a friend I vaguely knew but wasn't particularly close to Sarah, having a sudden crisis, needing her urgently. She said she'd rushed off to help Chloe, her phone had died, and she'd just forgotten to update me or Carol in the panic. She said she lied about being at Carol's because she didn't want me to worry about Chloe, and she knew I had a busy workday. It was a terrible lie, full of holes. Why wouldn't Chloe call me if Sarah's phone was dead and it was an emergency? Why the elaborate garden story in the morning? Why lie to her own mother? I asked her all these things. Gently at first, then with more frustration. She doubled down. She started to cry, saying I was interrogating her, that I didn't trust her. It was classic gaslighting, and a part of me, the part that desperately wanted to believe her, almost buckled. But Carol's voice, so clear and genuinely puzzled on the phone, kept replaying in my mind. And the advice from many of you, trust your gut. Look for patterns. So, I didn't push it further that night. I told her I was confused and hurt that she'd lied, even if her new story was true. I said I needed some space to think. I slept on the sofa. Or rather, I lay on the sofa, staring at the ceiling, feeling colder and more alone than I ever had in my life. Sarah stayed in the bedroom and cried. I could hear her. It was awful. The next few days were hell. We were like ghosts in our own home. Polite, distant. The air was thick with unspoken words. I felt like I was going crazy. Was I the bad guy for doubting her? Was she telling the truth, however improbable it sounded? Some of you had suggested checking phone bills or social media. I'd never done that. It felt like a huge violation of privacy. But I was desperate. Our phone bill is online, a joint account. I logged in. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Her call log looked normal enough, lots of calls to her mom, before that Tuesday, anyway, her sister, her friends. But then I looked at the data usage. Specifically the location services data. Our provider gives a very rough, cell tower-based location for data pings. It's not GPS accurate, not by a long shot, but it gives you a general area. I looked at the data for the day she was supposedly at her mom's, or with Chloe. The pings weren't in Bolton, where Carol lives. They weren't in the area where Chloe lives either, which I vaguely knew was more toward Stockport. For a large chunk of the afternoon, the pings were clustered around a very specific area in South Manchester near Didsbury. Didsbury. Why Didsbury? I couldn't think of any reason she'd be there. No friends, no work connections I knew of. Then I remembered something. About 6 months ago, Sarah had mentioned a new guy at her work. James. He was a project manager, she'd said. Charismatic, ambitious. She'd mentioned him a couple of times, usually in passing, something about a work project or a team lunch. Nothing that set off alarm bells at the time. But I remembered her saying he lived somewhere a bit posh in South Manchester. My blood ran cold. It was circumstantial, of course. Cell tower data isn't proof of anything concrete. But it was another piece of the puzzle that didn't fit her story. The advice about not acting on circumstantial evidence was strong, both from here and from my own common sense. I needed something more. Or I needed to be prepared to walk away based on the lies alone, because even if she wasn't cheating, the lying itself was a massive betrayal. I decided I couldn't live in this limbo. I had to know the truth, whatever it was. One evening, a few days later, she said she was going out for drinks with the girls from work. This was normal. It happened every month or so. She named a few colleagues I knew. She seemed relaxed, kissed me goodbye. Don't wait up, she said. My gut was churning again. The Didsbury data pings haunted me. I did something I'm not proud of. Something I swore I'd never do. After she left, I logged into her email. We had, in a moment of practicality years ago, shared passwords for things like utility bills and streaming services, in case one of us forgot or needed access. Her email password was the same as her Netflix password. I know. It's a terrible breach of trust. I felt sick doing it. But I felt sicker not knowing. There wasn't a smoking gun in her main inbox. No illicit messages, no declarations of love. But there was a promotions tab she rarely cleared out. And in there, buried amongst pizza delivery offers and clothing sale notifications, were a few booking confirmations. Not for hotels. For dinner reservations. At some rather nice, quite romantic-looking restaurants in Didsbury. And one in Alderley Edge, which is definitely a bit posh. The reservations were for 2 people. Some were a few weeks old, one was more recent. And they were all for weekday lunchtimes. Or late afternoons. Times when she was supposedly at work, or had finished early, or was running errands. And then I saw it. An email confirmation for a spa day. For 2 people. booked under her name. For the exact day she'd supposedly been at her mom's, helping with the garden. The spa was located near Didsbury. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was going to throw up. It wasn't just a suspicion anymore. This was cold, hard, digital proof. She hadn't been with her mom. She hadn't been with a friend in crisis. She'd been at a spa. With someone. And the dinner reservation strongly suggested who that someone might be. I didn't even look for messages between her and James. I didn't need to. The spa day confirmation, coupled with the original lie to me and Carol, and the subsequent lies about Chloe was enough. It was more than enough. The anger came then. A cold, hard rage I hadn't felt before. It wasn't the explosive, shouting kind. It was a deep, glacial fury. She had looked me in the eye and lied, repeatedly. She had made me doubt my own sanity. She had taken my trust and shattered it into a million pieces. I waited for her to come home. I didn't drink. I just sat in the dark, the spa confirmation burning on my laptop screen. She got back around midnight, a little tipsy, humming to herself. She switched on the light and jumped when she saw me sitting there. "Mark. You scared me. I thought you'd be asleep." "We need to talk, Sarah," I said. My voice was eerily calm. She knew. The moment she saw my face, the set of my jaw, the laptop open on the coffee table, she knew it was over. Her tipsy cheerfulness evaporated. She looked scared. "What is it?" she whispered. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse immediately. I just laid out the facts. The call from her mom. Her initial lie. Her convoluted Chloe story. The phone bill data. And then, the spa confirmation. I turned the laptop so she could see it. She stared at it. Her face went pale. She sank onto the arm of the sofa, her hands covering her mouth. "Who were you with, Sarah?" I asked. Silence. Just the sound of her ragged breathing. "Was it James?" I asked. A tiny, almost imperceptible nod. And then the dam broke. She started sobbing. Not the crocodile tears from before, the ones designed to make me feel guilty. These were real, racking sobs of someone who'd been caught and knew there was no way out. The story came out, piecemeal, between sobs and apologies. It had started about 4 months ago. Flirting at work. Lunches that became less innocent. He'd pursued her, she said. Made her feel seen, excited. The usual clichés. She hadn't meant for it to go so far. She loved me. She was confused. She didn't want to lose me. I listened. I didn't interrupt. The anger was still there, but it was mixed with a profound, crushing sadness. This was the woman I'd planned my future with. The woman I'd shared my deepest hopes and fears with. And she had systematically betrayed me, lied to me, for months. "Why, Sarah?" I asked when she finally ran out of words. "Why risk everything we had? If you were unhappy, why didn't you talk to me?" She couldn't give me a straight answer. Just more tears, more, "I don't know, I'm so sorry, I made a terrible mistake." The mistake wasn't one single slip-up. It was a series of conscious decisions, of lies and deceptions, carried out over months. The spa day, booked in advance, was a mistake. The romantic dinners were mistakes. Lying to my face, to her own mother. I told her I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't live with the lies, the betrayal. I couldn't trust her. How could I ever believe anything she said again? Every "I love you," every shared moment, would now be tainted by this. She begged. She pleaded. She said she'd end it with James immediately. She'd do anything, counseling, anything I wanted. But something in me had snapped. The trust was gone, and I knew, deep down, that it was irreparable. It wasn't just the affair itself, as devastating as that was. It was the calculated deception. The ease with which she lied. I told her she needed to leave. That was the hardest part. Seeing her pack her bags, her face streaked with tears. Our little house, the one we'd made our home, suddenly felt like a mausoleum. Every object held a memory, now tainted. The teal walls we'd painted together seemed to mock me. She went to stay with her sister. The next few days were a blur of logistics and heartbreak. Telling our friends, the awkward conversations. Dividing our things. It was like dismantling a life, piece by painful piece. Her mom Carol called me. Sarah had obviously told her some version of the truth. Carol was devastated. She apologized as if it was her fault. She cried that was almost as hard as dealing with Sarah. I always liked Carol. So that's where I am now. It's been about 3 weeks since she left. The house is quiet. Too quiet. The first week I barely functioned. I called in sick to work. Tom, my mate, was a lifesaver. He came over, let me talk, let me rage, let me cry. He made sure I ate. He dragged me out for walks, just to get me out of the house, away from the memories. I've initiated divorce proceedings. We weren't married, sorry, I meant, I've initiated the process of formally separating our joint finances and figuring out what to do with the house. We're renting, but there's still a contract. We're trying to do it amicably, for what it's worth, though amicable feels like a strange word for something so painful. Sarah is apparently riddled with guilt and regret. She texts me sometimes, long rambling apologies. I mostly don't reply. What's the point? The anger is still there, a dull ache now instead of a raging fire. But mostly, I just feel empty. And incredibly sad. Sad for the relationship I thought we had. Sad for the future I thought we'd share. Sad for the man I was before all this, the one who trusted so easily. I'm trying to focus on myself. Going to the gym. Trying to eat healthy. I've started therapy, which a few of you suggested. It's helping, I think. It's good to talk to someone impartial. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I wake up and for a blissful few seconds, I forget. Then it all comes crashing back. I see couples holding hands in the street, and it's like a physical pain. I walk past our old haunts, the little Italian restaurant where we had our first proper date, the park where we used to walk on Sundays, and it's like a ghost of her is walking beside me. I know it will take time. A lot of time. Right now, the thought of trusting someone again, of being that vulnerable again, seems impossible. But I'm trying to be hopeful. Trying to believe that one day, this won't hurt so much. That one day, I'll be able to think about Sarah without this crushing weight in my chest. I've learned a lot from this. About myself. About trust. About red flags I probably ignored, or explained away, because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale. Those little inconsistencies, the slight withdrawal, the phone being guarded a bit more than usual in hindsight, they were there. Small things, but they added up. For anyone going through something similar, trust your gut. It's usually right. Don't let anyone make you feel crazy for questioning things that don't add up. And talk to people. Don't carry it alone. Thank you again for listening, and for the advice. It truly made a difference during the darkest days. I'm not okay yet, not by a long shot. But I think eventually I will be. I have to be. What do you think? Tell us in the comments. Like the video and hit the subscribe button for more Reddit stories.